Hunt down the Freeman. What can I say that hasn't already been said? It's a horrible fan game that has turned out horribly, has gotten horrible reviews, and the game itself is pretty horrible. Now, I will not go in depth as to how it's horrible because there are already plenty of videos on YouTube that are doing that right now. In fact, it's become another YouTube cash cow, making videos about this. Everyone's done it. I Hate Everything, Dread Isle, hell, even Pyrocynical made a joke about it in his last episode of his Black Mesa playthrough thing. So I want to do something different here. I want to inject just the tiniest bit of optimism into this project, or whatever is happening. Who knows what's going on? I'm not one of the developers. I know Dread Isle, but I don't really know what's going on in there aside from it obviously just being a complete shit show for the development team right now. But enough rambling. Today, I'm gonna talk about how we can fix this mess and maybe make a decent at least a game that is hopefully better than Prospect. So let's do it. Now, I've been a fan of Half-Life for a very long time now, and you know one thing that I really liked about that game, because it really helped me keep that immersion? The fact that it never ever breaks the first person perspective. Yeah, you could maybe argue that at the beginning of Half-Life 2 Episode 1 that it kind of broke it, but not really. I mean, it's kind of just an acid trip after you've been in, interdimensional space, but everything is still in the first person. Hunt Down the Freeman breaks this perspective several times in its cutscenes. Now, it's not the end of the world to have cutscenes, but it would probably be a lot better if you at least kept them in first person. Just a thought, So I'd highly recommend, and this will really help you keep the immersion that a lot of the rest of the game kind of breaks for multiple reasons that I'll go in and help you fix later on in this video. But yeah, please make those cutscenes first person, and also please keep, or instead you could just have the cutscenes play out in the actual world like they do in Half-Life 2. That could work as well, And last thing about the cutscenes that you definitely need to fix is that a lot of the times the flow of the gameplay and then the cutscene that kind of happens right afterwards, they don't exactly have a harmony. An example of what I'm talking about is in like the second stage of the game in that hospital. So near the end of it, you're about to meet some other Marines, right? And you're kind of walking there at normal speed towards them with zombies behind you. It's not the most tense situation in the game because you're both you and the zombies are going at like walking speed. And then it immediately switches to a cutscene that shows you epically running like you're in a Michael Bay film, and then jumping and ducking while the others shoot the zombies. Those two, the gameplay part and then the cutscene right after it, they don't exactly merge very well. You have to kind of find a way for them to not, have that kind of contrast. Otherwise, it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb and then just look completely awful and completely cringy. So please fix that. If nothing else, please fix that. I have one question for the developers here. Is this supposed to take place in the Half-Life universe? Because there's a lot of discrepancies in this thing that it would not surprise me at all if this took place in the same universe as Aperture Tag. Like, not even as a joke. The first big discrepancy that I've seen, and there are many others, but I have two examples here for you. First, the Keemstar scene as President of the US. We'll look past the part that how he is playing that role, and let's look at the fact that the President is in this game at all. Now, if I remember correctly, Dr. Breen was the one who negotiated the terms of surrender with the Combine. Not the President of the US, or anyone in the US at all. It was all Breen himself. So, why change that up and just have the President do it? I mean, why? It doesn't make much sense. I guess you could say that he's commanding those soldiers, but still, I don't think you need to have the President. They could just learn that the hard way. Like maybe the Combine say something over a massive intercom, or they hack into every single radio and just they just say that they've killed the President or something, and now they are in charge of the world, and now Breen has negotiated surrender with them, or something like that, you know? You don't have to have the President, especially one voiced by Killer Keemstar. Again, I'll talk more about that later. The second story discrepancy that I've seen, it's at the very beginning of the game when you're in Black Mesa and then Gordon Freeman kills you. Again, I have played Half-Life a very huge amount, and I do not remember going to some sort of tactical war room with monitors like everywhere, and then seeing one lone HECU Marine and then killing him with a crowbar. I don't quite remember that happening at all in the story. So, yeah, this stuff kind of just breaks the canon so hard. The only other explanation I could have is that this is supposed to take place in an alternate universe. So, yeah, just fix it. Just change the story a bit so that we don't have these weird interruptions, you know? Last thing that really needs fixing about the story, it has to do with the name of the game, Hunt Down the Freeman. Yeah, you don't exactly do much of that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the only time you ever actually interact with Freeman is at the very beginning of the game. Look, actually do more stuff with it. I mean, there's sort of a part near the end where you do some hunting down, but it's not exactly much. And again, you don't actually end up meeting the guy. So, yeah, actually hunt him down. How about you go? I know that it's sort of hard to do that given how you're, how in the Half-Life games, Half-Life 2 and such, you never actually meet Marines, so it doesn't exactly work with that. But what's stopping you from going into the Epistle 3 time and fighting him when you're in the Arctic? Nothing. Just do it. Just do that. It would be much better for your game. Now this is a huge outcry that fans, or they're more or less haters, but I don't want to call them haters because they're actually right here. Don't just get Gmod maps or whatever maps you actually did manage to actually create yourself, and then just put a ton of enemies haphazardly everywhere, and then have the player fight them. Like what Dreadnought had done, like late into development, like putting zombies behind doors in the hospital, having them kick open, and yeah, just try and do that. Make the gameplay more interesting like that. Have some more, have them just come out of walls and make surprise the players in some ways, you know? Yeah, just do that. Just make the gameplay more interesting. Keep the player engaged, and it will be a great, much amazingly better game. And one last thing about the gameplay. Please, make the opening a lot better. There's some great potential there. You know, here's an idea. Here's an idea that I have that you have full permission to use. I don't care about getting paid. or even getting called out. I just want to throw this right at you, okay? How about having the opening like, you know what I was saying about having the opening act, like, you actually go to where Freeman is at one point in the game? How about you do this? How about you have the main character and some other guy, both have those two people be the same people who captured Freeman at the end of Apprehension chapter in Half-Life 1, and then, like, the opening mission is you trying to get him to a certain area. But then he wakes up, and then just a little bit afterwards, you're in the questionable ethics area of Half-Life, and then he kills you, or not kills you, but like seriously wounds you, and then that's kind of the beginning of the game there, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, how's about we do that? That would be great. I'm sure that would be a much better intro. And it will really, the thing is that since you're actually going and connecting it back to the actual game itself, it actually would there's like a bit of nostalgia there, and people will notice, and it really connects people to the world more, you know? And of course you could probably, it probably wouldn't be too looked down upon if you went to the Black Mesa Source team, Crowbar Collective, or went to Tripmine Studios, makers of the Opposing Force and Blue Shift remakes, and actually asked them if you could use some of their assets or their maps to go to some of these places, you know, because you know what I'm saying. You should do it. Just do it. Yeah. Do not have Keemstar in as playing the president. Don't have the characters act gay whenever you interact with them. Make I Hate Everything's character actually fit his voice. Blah, blah, blah. You already know all this. I'm sure it was completely outlined in I Hate Everything's video, and probably many of the other videos as well that have been made over YouTube. But yeah, do it. Just fix those problems. But aside from that, speaking of characters, how about we actually add in some characters from Half-Life? I mean, like, you have some characters you've made yourself, but how about add some, like, add some familiar faces from Opposing Force. Add in Drill Instructor Barnes and Sharp. Those would be two nice additions, military-ish. How about some other characters that were in Opposing Force who made it out? Stuff like that. That would be nice. Again, the more that you kind of connect it back to the original game, the more people can feel in the world because they know this stuff, and it feels more natural, and it's just nicer, you know? It adds a charm to the game to do that. Also, give G-Man a better voice. Hell, I could voice act him if you need me to, because it's laughable to see G-Man pronouncing things the way that he does in this game. Black Mesa. Yeah, okay, that's a horrible impression. This horrible impression of the G-Man, but you know what I'm saying, you know. The game is laughable. You gotta fix it. You gotta add some seriousness back into the characters. If they break that immersion like that, then you're gonna have problems. And hell, speaking of G-Man, how about you have him mention something in one of his monologues about how Shepard's doing, how Adrian Shepard's doing. Again, connect it back to Opposing Force. That was a great game. If you base stuff around that, then this game would get a really good cult following. And again, add more details. Like, hell, how about you also add some Aperture Science logos on some random technologies here and there, because, you have to get the world into character as well, you know? Just kind of tie it with the other Half-Life games to make it feel like it can actually be there, and not like just some mod or whatever, you know? Because a lot of mods, they kind of have this disconnect from the actual games, but if you can make yours kind of be in harmony with what has already been made by Valve, then it would just turn out extremely nice. So please look into doing that. So in conclusion, it's a broken game, but if you can fix it, it can probably turn out to be pretty good. Some last things just to really say here. First of all, go watch Dread Isle's video. He made a video about this as well. Please do what he says and make a design document. Put some of the stuff that I threw out there in this video onto it. And also make sure that you fix the technical bugs, and that is more or less how you can make the game good. The real madness in this is how to somehow get its reputation to not be as horrible as it is from this launch. I think the best way to do that would probably be to mark it down to 99 cents and put it in early access. If not, just make it free or take it off the Steam Workshop. Or Workshop? What the hell am I saying? Store? You know what I'm saying. That's the best solution I can get to damage control. I'm not a damage control expert. I'm sure you can get some people to help you out with that though. That's more or less what I have to say. Again, go check out Dread Isle's video, and also I Hate Everything's video on this thing. You know, get some different perspectives from all over the place. You know, I'm an optimist. I can think that this is gonna work all I want. Who knows if it actually will? We'll see. Just depends on how you deal with this situation. The wrong way to deal with the situation is to just scream and panic and stuff. That's the wrong way to deal with it. So don't panic, okay? Panicking is not what you want to do, okay? Alright, that's the end of the video. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Small city streets, small city woes, it's coming out, it's coming every day. I see the change, I see the walls, I see the stars, and they're no longer above me.